The right likes to frame socialism and communism with this expression, you'll own nothing and be happy. But in actuality, that's the direction that capitalism is barreling in right now. It's what's going on with the housing market right now. You get all these big corporations buying up all these residential properties and then just sitting on them or renting them out. The same thing happened to retail and commercial properties over the last several decades. I'm friends with a handful of small business owners, and making rent is one of their biggest financial struggles. They'd much rather just buy a storefront, but that's not an option that they're allowed. The companies that own all of the retail and commercial properties only rent them. So no matter how long they spend paying on the properties they run their business out of, they will never own them. You know, when you could own your storefront once upon a time, if you owned it outright and you had a bad month, it wasn't the end of the world. But now, 1 or 2 bad months can bankrupt your store because you have to pay rent. Because ultimately that's more profitable for the companies that own these properties. And they're doing the same thing with housing. Why sell a thing to you once when they could sell it to you over and over and over and over again forever? Another example that not that many people talk about, and my elder millennials...
You know, he makes a excellent point, is just the simple fact that we need more small business owners like his friends. We need more competition. It may even mean the executive branch exercising the antitrust laws as well. It's not going to come about this trend that he's talking about, reversing the tide of more economic rents because of monopolization through, say, the greater monopolization of all means of production, but it could and will happen as we have more competition. The problem is monopolistic pricing power. The problem is less competition.
Capitalism relies on this infinite perpetual growth. It creates the incentive to monetize more and more aspects of everyday life. Unless trends change, I see this happening with more and more things. It won't be that long before buying your phone outright is not an option that's allowed to you. You will only be allowed to lease them. We'll get to a point where buying a house is not an option that's allowed. You can only rent one. We'll get to the point where the operating system on your computer is a subscription. Just wait until...
And you know, he makes an excellent point. He talks about the idea that Microsoft once had the Office built right into the operating system. That's no longer the case, and now Office is a subscription model. If the operating system itself becomes a subscription model, I think more people are going to be dabbling with Linux, and at the very least, Apple is going to be selling more Macs.
It'll never get that extreme. You probably would have said the same thing.
And there are some excellent options out there like systems